Hey everybody, it's Alara. Welcome back to my channel. Today is obviously Stitch With Me. This is in lieu of an update this week because I have stitched less than 200 stitches all week. So I figured I would take a small break, give my poor feet a rest. As you can see, this is Dragons of the Sabbat. This is artwork by Ann Stokes. This is the chart by Heaven and Earth, or not, I'm sorry, not Heaven and Earth Designs, by Pain Free Crafts. Heaven and Earth Designs does chart this particular piece now. So far I have 208,674 stitches out of 603,900. I might as well say 604,000. It's 2 stitches shy. I'm at 34.55%, and this is where we're starting from. This is the... I don't remember which dragon this is. Beltane keeps jumping in my head, but I'm not sure if that's correct. Yule is the one up there, that way. So yeah, let's dive right in. I'm mid thread here, so it won't take me long to finish this one off, hopefully. I'm exhausted, y'all. My feet hurt, my back hurts, my hips hurt. I'm not going to whinge this whole video, I promise, but it's been a very long week. I have been, if you watched my video last week, you know that I've been prepping for StitchCon. I'm not going to be there in person, but my bags will be. Keepsakes is going to have, I don't know, I guess a display. I don't know, honestly, I don't know what it's going to look like. But they will have my wares for sale. And I'm a terrible procrastinator. And I did not ask properly in advance what day in May these bags were due. I was thinking like the end of May. No, mid-May. I have delivery on the 19th. Which is, today is the 13th? 14th. Today's the 14th. So I have until Monday. It's not very long. So I've been frantically prepping. And I have not only bags, but I'm hoping to get some thread beds made too, to send. I haven't really asked her though, so I should probably email her after I get done with this. Double check that she would actually be interested in having thread beds with my bags. So I've been meaning to do a Stitch With Me for quite some time, so I figured I could use a small break, because I have not sat, unless it's for a meal or I'm going to sleep, I have not sat down this week. Except for, like, I think Wednesday, when I tried to stitch for a little bit, and that didn't really happen. Like I said, it was less than 200 stitches. I haven't finished any of the... I didn't even get any of the Monopoly pieces finished. I got a few stitches on Divine Transformation, and that's it. Like not even done with those stitches. But I pulled this out because I did want to try and get some weekly stitches in on this, and it's a little bit easier on my brain to do. I don't know if you can hear it, but it is a little showering outside today, which I'm actually kind of glad, because a few minutes ago, like right before I started recording, there was a really loud bird right outside the window. Like, he was going on about something. But yeah, we've had some showers this week. Nothing crazy. And speaking of birds, I have a couple of clips that I've been recording off and on for a while of... Did I show you the ducks already? I might have already shown you the ducks. I don't remember if I've put these in video yet. I'll have to go back and look and see if I've already... I know I did the one clip in the truck for the geese. But I can't remember. We had mallards. Man, I cannot remember. Anywho. So yeah, if I can't find a video where I added the clips, I will stick them on at the end of this video. I don't think the goslings made it. Mama's not nesting anymore. And I have seen 0 baby geese. So unfortunately, I think the snapping turtles had their snacks again this year. Them gooses need to spread the word that our pond has booby traps. And I did get a little, I don't know if you'll be able to see it very clearly, but I did get a clip of one of the koi that are in the pond. Those are too big for the snapping turtles to eat. I think the turtles and the koi went in about the same time. And the thing with koi is that they will grow to the size of their environment. So if they have a nice big pond to grow in, they will get pretty massive. So I've managed to get, and I realize that I'm limited on how many bags I can make based on the number of logo labels that I still had left because I forgot to order more. So it's over 100, but pretty sure it's over 100. I think I have like 139 cut, but we'll see how many actually get made into bags as far as with the labels. I had a minor setback yesterday that could have been really disastrous. I don't know how, but I had a notebook that I had noted down measurements of, things for the bags. Like there's an outer fabric, there's an inner fabric, there's the vinyl, there's the little strips that go on the vinyl, and somehow that got noted down in the vertical orientation of, so most of my bags, like a standard bag for me is vertical, which is pretty typical, I think, for project bags, is in a horizontal orientation. But some of the panels that I was doing was kind of forced it into a vertical orientation. And the vinyl cuts somehow got noted in vertical orientation, which is very different from the cuts for the rectangles. And I did not realize it until after I had cut about $250 worth of vinyl. I had a nice good cry. I had a good rant. And then I looked at what I had cut out what measurements I actually needed and made adjustments and trimmed and salvaged what I could from what I had, because I did not have enough to just recut and, you know, use the other vinyl later. You kind of had to. It had to be used this time, or it wasn't happening. So I ended up wasting about $50 worth of vinyl. That's, I mean, literally useless, because they're less than 2-inch wide strips. But it's an equivalent of almost 10 yards of vinyl. It's made me sick. I don't know if there's a way to recycle vinyl, but that would be ideal, because I don't relish the thought of all that plastic getting just thrown away unused. So I wouldn't necessarily say disaster averted, but it could have been a lot worse. A lot worse. And I was a little frustrated because it did take more time to make those extra cuts than I would have needed otherwise. And it's funny, whenever I make bags, I start kind of joking about how making bags is actually just moving around fabric and ironing it. I've spent 3 of however many days I've been working on these, just ironing. Oh. Oop, you're almost out of frame. Let me adjust here real quick. All right. But barring small disasters, and you know, my old bone's hurting, it's been a good week. I'm feeling very productive, and I really love some of the fabrics that I've got going for this batch. No panels this time, so the little like picture bags that I've been that have been in the shop for the majority of the bags. I do not have that right now, but that's okay. And I still have enough fabric for quite a bit more for the next batch. I hope you guys have had a good week. And for anyone who I think was Australia and the US, for Mother's Day, if you celebrate, I know it's a very difficult time for some women. In my heart, I was thinking of them too. Who, you know, for whatever reason, may be a very difficult holiday to think about. But mine was quiet. My husband had to work all day. He left about 6 o'clock in the morning and came home at about 10 o'clock at night. But that's just part of the job. That's just part of restaurant life, right? But I was not. I don't mind. Like I said, it was quiet. My mom came down, and my oldest was sick, so I did not get to see them until yesterday, which today's Wednesday. I said that, the 14th, right? And my mom came down, and my middle and my youngest, we all went out to lunch at my local, there's a like 5 minutes up the road, local to me, Thai restaurant. It's really good. So we went there, and it was delicious. And I still have leftovers, actually, that I need to eat. My mom left her leftovers. I don't know if those will get eaten or not, but actually, no, I finished mine. And of course, the middle is 18, almost 18. I'll be 18 next week. And he ate his entire plate, of course. And the little one still has his leftovers. He got a salad. What 7-year-old orders salad on purpose? I love that kid. But you know, I've had a really challenging time with my husband's boys over the years, and they have both moved out now. And not having somebody here arguing and fighting and all that on Mother's Day was really nice. I'm not gonna lie. Did not miss that one bit. It's starting to come down. I'm gonna have to watch the windows. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. Speaking of the middle turning 18 next week, his graduation party is Friday night. I'm gonna need to. I actually had more days than I thought I was going to have to get these bags done. She had said mid-May, and I was like, is the 19th still mid-May enough? Which is good because I've got his graduation party on Friday to go to, and then graduation itself is on Saturday. And he's basically going to be like moved out and gone for all intents and purposes. He's not coming home again on like a semi-permanent. I mean, you know, my ex-husband and I shared custody, so it was always, you know, every other week. But you know, this is the last week he's going to be like home as far as like living here. So that's going to be weird. I'm probably going to be a mess this weekend. My babies are all growing up. I'm really proud of them, but I don't like it at the same time. So yeah, he graduates Saturday and then is going to go to California for like seeing family and stuff before he ships out to the Navy in July. But so they leave on Sunday. They're gone for a week or a week and a half or something. They come home. He's got like 3 days, and then he's going off across the country. Like him and his buddies are going to do a road trip before. There's a couple of them that are shipping out, including mine. I think they're going to go down to like North Carolina to see some friends that moved away quite a while ago. And but yeah, he's moving all his extra stuff to his dad's so that the little guy can get out of the dungeon for a bedroom and move up to his old room after we get some repairs done. This is probably not going to be until the end of summer, but that he gets moved up there. But and then I will actually have a craft room. I told my husband, I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna actually like go in there and craft, right? I was like, I'm already, because that bedroom or that room doesn't have any windows. I'm like, I'm already in the dungeon most of the time, meaning this basement. It's like if I go in there, not only do I not see light, like natural light, I won't see you because I'll be in there. I was like, no, that's not. I was like, that's gonna be like my craft storage room. Let's be real. That is how that's going to happen. So I'm sorry you're going to start hearing I use a pen with a stylus on it for my tablet to mark stuff off. And I know it's kind of noisy when I set it down, but if I don't, I know me in this pattern, and if I do not mark off every time I hit a road, because this is where I'm going to start outlining, and if I don't mark off every single time I have a step change, I will screw it up every time. And even when I do mark it off, sometimes I screw it up. So yeah, it's going to be really strange. We've gone from a household of 7, well, yeah, 7, even if it's, part-time kind of stuff, down to 3 in a matter of like a year. 2 years. 2 years. Not very centered, am I? I need a long arm for my, what you call it, Lowry stand. Because I'm just about as far out as I can, and my gooseneck for the camera is stretched just about as far as it can go. So I need them to meet better in the middle. And hopefully I get to publish this Wednesday, because I want to talk about some really good news. And I promised my husband I would not publish it until it was official. So gosh, hopefully I can actually publish this in general. But let me back up on that one a little bit. So if you watch my Stitch With Me's fairly regularly, I don't know if you'll remember the love story one back. I think that was, did I tell that in February? It might have been a year ago, February. I don't know. I don't know when I tell these things. My memory does not work in a timeline at all. So anyways, I had told the story of how my husband and I met, and I cannot remember, but I think I kind of talked about our history of working together as part of that story. He started working in McDonald's when he was in high school, as part of his work study program in high school. And we met at a local restaurant that is actually not even there anymore, and worked off and on for years in restaurants. And that's just, he's always been, I never thought I would get quote unquote stuck in that industry, but I didn't hate it, but it wasn't exactly my passion. Of course, I never really knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Anyway, I digress. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that he has worked his butt off for 30 years, within this industry. And he did have some roles as he was a corporate trainer for the restaurant, actually the restaurant that we worked at initially, where we met. And he was a corporate trainer for them for a while. He was management at, several real small, kind of hole in the wall, bar and grill type places, local, super local owned type places. But never management corporate, which we're both very, very happy that he is out of the corporate world. I don't think I could ever go back. I know he couldn't, he would not kill somebody. Corporate mentality works on paper and not usually in practice very well. So there's a lot of expectations that cannot be met, and excuses for, not giving out raises and blah, 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 blah. Management takes all your bonuses, It's rough. If you've been in hospitality and corporate, you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. I'm sure there's good ones out there, but we never worked for them. Hold on, I gotta make sure I'm. This is a wonky spot. The place that he's at now. Oh no, let me back up a little bit. So we do still have our business where we make the backpacking hammocks. It's definitely a different model that we're working towards, so that it's just, I build what I build and put that on the website, and then they sell, instead of doing custom work where I've got 100 people breathing down my neck about where's my order. Same with his side of it, where with the quilts, that's going to be, it's going to be more of a hobby business than trying to make a living business. Partly because he needed and wanted to have more of a steady, reliable source of income, right? So he had gone back 2022 one. He had gone back part-time, working for a friend of his who was the executive chef. Knew that he has this business, knew that where his priorities were not with working, right? Like, as far as sacrificing time, and just, it was a good arrangement. And they had gone, I don't want to say followed each other, but yeah, like, his friend would find a better position. They went from kind of close by-ish. Oops. Oh my goodness. Earthquake. Sorry. So basically the club he's at now, this is the third country club. And both him and his buddy were like, we're done bouncing around. We need to, this is a good deal. This is where we're gonna to stick it out, right? We're gonna retire from here. We're getting old. And for my husband, that was not a hard thing. It was not a hardship. He got a really decent raise when he came to this place. We have benefits, which, like, decent benefits, which is kind of unheard of in food industry. At least that, again, in our experience. He gets vacation time, like PTO, 401k, if and when he decides to invest in that. I don't know if the company matches or anything like that, but it's available, right? These are all things that are not particularly notorious for happening in restaurants, especially the decent insurance. And we still have a small deductible. It's small, but $3,000, $3,000 per person, up to, I think, $10,000 a year. But we still have, like, small copays when we go see a physician. Like, if we need, if we're sick or whatever, it's not out of pocket, and then they pay. So it's really like, I have to, for example, I have a pulmonary function test to go do next week, to see why I'm still coughing and hacking and feel like I can't breathe half the time. That is happening next week, and that is going to be out of pocket, meeting our deductible. So, like I said, it's not the best insurance that I've had, but it's also not the worst. Again, I digress. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot real quick. One, two, yes, okay. So, they were, like I said, they were kind of talking about, this is going to be the last place where we work. We're tired of bouncing around. Well, his buddy was the executive chef, and apparently the stress, because this country club is it is very like hoity-toity, right? And it's all member owned. It's very private. Member owned meaning no, it's not public. It's not open to the public at all. And they have to spend a certain amount of money at the dining room, and they have like member events all the time. Like, it's a very active country club. And so they have like I said, events, banquets. Then they have like walk-in member dining. They have reservations all the time for, it could be just a couple that belong to the club. It could be a couple and whatever event they've planned. So there's a lot going on at this club. It is not a boring, like, we have nobody coming in kind of club. And it was just, unfortunately, it was just a little bit too much on his buddy's plate. So a couple of weeks ago, he told my husband that he had found another position. He was actually taking a pay cut to go do this new position, and he did not expect my husband to follow him. He's like, you're not going to find a better deal. This is a good place for you. And, my husband has been busting his ass with this place. Like, yes, I'm biased because he's my husband, but he is also very, very good at what he does. I liken it to a dancer. Like, I used to love watching him work because he's collected, he's focused, he is fast. This man, I don't know how he coordinates what he does, but he can handle a lot of business and run multiple stations. Basically, dusting people that are working around him. It's most of the time it's, hey, are you okay? What can I do to help? And his response is usually just, get out of my way. Let me do what I do. And that has not been unnoticed by the general manager there. And he was offered, am I going to have enough room? Yeah, I'm going to be okay. It's just, these stitches are like down here, or here, where they cut off on the page, or on this section. But yeah, the general manager came to him a couple of weeks ago now, I think, and put out feelers of, hey, I like what you do. I like the direction that you're going with this place. Would you consider a sous chef position, which is second in command in the kitchen? You've got your executive chef, and then you've got your sous chef, and everybody else is under you, right? And my husband, he has always been very leery of taking management positions, because 9 times out of 10 you trade a decent salary for being worked to death, right? Like, a lot of times if you do the math on the salaries that they want to offer, you would have been better off staying as an hourly employee, because by the time you're done with your 60 hours, 70 hours, 80 hours that they want you to work a week, you're actually making less per hour than you would have as an hourly employee. Now, yes, granted, those are guaranteed dollars. You don't have to worry about, am I going to hit my 40 hours this week? Which can be very, especially with a country club, typically on the off season, because most of these are golf courses. On the off season, you have to worry about being laid off because there's not enough work. Now, this particular club, they again, like I said, they have member events all through the year, so there's not really an off season for them. So that wasn't necessarily going to be an issue as far as hours goes. But again, like I said, he has always been leery of like, look, I don't want to trade my family time for less than what I would have been making if I was working the same hours as an hourly. Anyways, so they talked, and John told him his concerns and expectations. They had a couple of meetings about it, and he came home and told me about it. I figured up. I was like, look, you won't ever have to worry about with salary. I was like, here's your pros and cons. Let's look at your pros and cons. If you go salary, it's always there, right? You don't have to worry about, am I going to hit my 40 hours this week? It's going to be there. And you might have, I was like, yeah, we could probably expect you to work 50 hours a week, let's say. I was like, let's do the math on that, and I pulled out a calculator and I figured out the dollar amount that he would make as an hourly if he always worked 10 hours of overtime. And I told him, I was like, and that's not going to happen. I was like, as an hourly employee, they're not going to let you work that much overtime. They don't want to put that kind of money out in overtime pay. I said, so here's your number that you don't go, that's where your negotiation point is. And he was like, well, I don't see them offering that. He was like, I was thinking like 10,000 less than that. I was like, no, I was like, the number you just told me, that's your starting point. I was like, as far as negotiating a salary goes, you don't take less than that, period. And I was like, and I would be offended. Actually, I was like, don't even take that, because that's not enough. And they come to him last week. Yes, last week. And threw a number out there that was very, very close to the number that I had told him. Of, here's what your dollar amount would look like if you were to work this much overtime all the time. So he accepted the position. And I am so stinking proud of that man for, he has not signed the paperwork. Like I said, I'm not publishing this until he's actually, so when you see this, he will have signed the paperwork. Because they do negotiate contracts as a salary, as far as, and I don't know if that's that way for everywhere. I have no idea. But he will have an actual contract to sign. I was like, and just make sure you read over the entire contract before you actually sign it. He was like, oh, I will. But yeah, regardless of if something happens and it hits the fan and it goes south and he doesn't end up taking it, I could not be prouder of him. He has really pushed and to show that he's capable of something like this. He does have some training to go through, because as far as like the admin side of it, he's not, he doesn't have the knowledge for that. He was like, but I can learn that. He's like, it's not like I've not done paperwork and stuff before for the management stuff that he has done, but it's different. It's very different, right? one of his concerns was also that, if he takes the position and for whatever reason they decide that he's not an actual the fit that they thought he was going to be. He told the manager, he was like, I don't want to just get canned. I was like, that's, he was like, let me just go back to my position and do what I do. If for whatever reason you decide, he was like, and the manager was like, I don't see that happening, but okay. um, so, I mean, it's a significant pay increase for us. Like, um, yeah, the belt will not have to be nearly as tight as it was. And yes, I know I spend some money with, you know, um, my crafting and stuff, but I do make a little bit of money with, these videos and stuff. Thanks to you folks that are, taking time out of your day to watch. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I really enjoy making them, and the money has never been like a goal as far as like, I want to make all these hundreds of dollars, and that's not the point of this. But it's definitely an added bonus, and I appreciate that it's there, and that you guys make that happen. So I do have a little bit of extra, and it's funny. I was talking with John the other night about it, about people who have less. We always had, the money for the bills to get paid, but not really enough to ever like significantly save, like a savings kind of thing. So whenever something, we would get taxes back, or, I would get a payment from YouTube or whatever. Yes, should we have saved it? Yes, I've mentioned this before, especially like when the government did their handouts for COVID. Should I have stuck that in savings? Probably. But the thing is, and I know that not every person that is in the situation that we are feels this way, but it's for us it was like a way to break the monotony of not having enough, or barely having enough, I should say. Like I said, bills are always paid. To have that little bit of pleasure, like, because otherwise you never have it, right? If you're always just scraping by, and anytime you get a tiny little bit extra, stashing it in savings, you end up feeling like you never get to enjoy anything that you work for, right? Now, is that the best way to think about it? Debatable. And and actually we talked about that. Like, oops, sorry, my thingy is loose. There we go. We talked about that. Like, we need to do this smart now that we've got the potential to not stress about, are you going to have enough hours that we can pay for groceries this week? It's not always like that. I did have some extra coming in, and I was contributing to bills as well, as like paying them. But now it's like, this is actually going to afford us not only to guarantee that we don't have to stress every week about, okay, need to make sure that I have X amount of dollars left over for groceries, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, we can actually pay off the debts faster, pay off my car, but don't tell it that. And I'm not going to say that any kind of loudly when it gets close. It'll hear me, it'll break, right? That's what happens. I was like, we can actually do that, have breathing room, and save some money. I was like, we don't need. Oh, sorry if you heard that. Apparently, I'm hungry. We'll be able to still do a little bit of extra here and there and save money, and it's going to be amazing. Knock on wood. I'm hoping I'm not jinxing myself by saying that out loud. You do that and it feels like you get one step forward and then something happens and you're 20 steps back. So I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic that we have less financial stress in the foreseeable future. Again, paperwork's not signed. I have not seen that first paycheck. To me, it is not real and it will not be real until it happens. Not to seem like a negative Nancy, but it does seem like I've had the rug pulled out from under me far too many times in my lifetime to bank on it until I see it. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited for him. He's nervous about, and it's bittersweet for him too, because this promotion also comes with his friend him not working with his buddy anymore. But he's like, I'm excited to have input on the menu. Like he's going to be writing the menus for the weekly specials and things like that. He's going to have a say in menu changes and things like that. He's doing it smart. He's like, we can't make a bunch of changes right away. That's going to upset our members. We got to do this slow and easy and make sure that they like the changes and whatnot. So that kind of growth as far as being able to showcase his talents is kind of a chest puff pride, right? So like I said, I'm super proud of him, and I'm hoping that this is a good change. And like I said, he's going to be working not necessarily more than he has been, which, bless his soul, he was like, I'm concerned that I'm not going to be here enough for you, and that you're going to get sick of not seeing me and everything. I was like, honey, you are doing amazing things to make sure your family is taken care of, and I could not have asked for better. And I was like, and I want to do, almost out of frame again. Hang on. I'm gonna have to angle you a little bit more. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's good changes, hopefully, and it's kind of unknown, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good. And I want to. Oh, that's where my train was going. I want to keep doing my part to, ease that burden from him as well. So that, yeah, even though he's kind of not really stuck, but you know what I mean. He's got this commitment now that he's not. I don't want to make him feel like he's busting his butt just so that I can sit on mine. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I definitely don't have as much capability as he does, as far as like the amount of physical work that he does. My body just doesn't handle that kind of work, as highlighted by how broken I feel just from being on my feet 9 hours a day for the last however many days I've been doing it. Like, I used to be able to do that when I was working when I was waiting tables. Not much choice in there, but I don't remember feeling this broken. And this exhausted as I do right now. You're like, don't like that angle. So let's see what else has been going on. How long have I been? It's been almost an hour. Maybe I should leave it at that. No, screw it. You know what? It's gonna be a long stitch with me. Feel free to break it up, guys. And I know and I think probably half of you, maybe less, actually watch these. And I know it's just a matter of like company. That's why I watch them too. I enjoy the company, being able to, like, I love watching updates, obviously. Sorry, my big old arms in the way. But it is nice to be able to like put a stitch with me on, and work and not have to worry about watching the screen necessarily. Just, kind of look up every once in a while and see what's what with the progress. But and I had posted, so the next thing I want to talk about, I had wanted to talk about actually last time I recorded, but I needed to posit the question that I did to the people that I did before I did that. Clear as mud. Let me stop being cryptic here. So, like, oh gosh, it's been like 2 years almost already since I did this. So a couple of years ago, I had made a Facebook group called One Skein at a Time. And the purpose of this group was to have been motivation and community for, and sort of tying it all together with cross-stitching in particular, with weight loss and getting healthy. And, the concept was that I would reward myself for every, however many pounds that I lost. There would be a reward. And at the end of my weight loss journey, there would be a reward of my polar mandala chatelaine. Well, obviously, I have that ordered and on the way, and I'm just as heavy now as when I started that group. So it's not that the concept was not there, but I think I have learned that I don't operate like I thought I was going to with that. I think my physical health journey is a lot more private than I realized I would need it to be, because I struggle so hard with it. It's more of I don't really feel like I'm failing per se, but I didn't really have anything to contribute to the group, to add to it, other than, because if you're the, what's the term that I want? For lack of a better word, the leader of a group, and you don't contribute, that group kind of goes stagnant, right? And that's exactly what happened. I don't expect anyone else to carry that group, especially, when I'm the one that created it. And I think the purpose of that group is going to change. I had actually asked, how would people feel if it did, because it is their group just as much as it is mine. And I hemmed and hawed for, I've been thinking about this for months and months and months, to be honest. And I hemmed and hawed because there are a ton of other Facebook groups where floss tubers have put them together and created their group, and right there's a lot out there. And I'm like, do I really want to add to that clutter of Facebook groups? when there are so many fantastic groups out there already doing exactly that. And I thought about it and I'm like, every group's dynamic is unique based on the basis for which that group was created, right? And that basis is the person, like the YouTuber or whoever that made it, whether it be the YouTuber, a designer, for like, the pain-free crafts group. Oh my gosh, say that 5 times fast. Or the Heaven and Earth Designs group, right? There's a unique signature to each of those groups. And I'm like, you know what? I think that's okay. I think everybody's signature is unique enough that if I want to have a group, gosh darn it, I should be able to have a group and not worry about the fact that there are other groups out there, right? Those groups don't have any less meaning than mine. Like in at the heart of the concept, right? Like the group that I would want to create has just as much right to exist, right? Does it mean it'll be successful? Not necessarily. But that space can still exist for that purpose. Anywho, what I'm trying to say is I want to open that group up to the sort of community where, this is kind of one-sided for me, right? The videos. I make a video update and I talk about life. I make a Stitch with Me and I talk about life. I talk about my mental health. And you guys know me, but I don't, I interact with you some in the comments, but those are also, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My stomach is just like, feed me, Seymour. And I don't really have anything to eat right now. I gotta go find a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something. So I want a place to be able to connect with the folks that watch my videos in a little bit more, like, the YouTube comments, you can't share pictures, you can't share GIFs, which I love. I love laughing to some of those GIFs. There's not quite as much interaction as I would like in the comments that I would love to see more of. So that group, I'm going to morph a little bit and make it more of a community, like a general community space, right? So if it's something that you would be interested in and would want to add, because I'm sure you're in if you go on Facebook and you watch YouTube or FlossTube, chances are you're in a bunch of other groups, right? I would like to invite you to one more, I want to be able to see what you guys are stitching in a space that's a little bit more mine. I want to hear about, and I want it to be not just for stitching. So if you're looking for a little bit more of a, because I've always been that way, right? With my videos, it's not just about the stitching for me. It's also about the person behind the camera. And I know not everyone wants that, and obviously they're not going to join. They're probably not going to join the group. But it's also been about the person behind the camera, right? I talk about my life. I want to hear about your lives. If you'd like to share, that kind of thing. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, please come hang out. I do need to make sure that everything's kind of updated. I'm gonna delete like a couple of the albums. Um, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to hide all of the old. Not all of them. Some of the old posts that might be a little bit too personal. No, sorry, I'm kind of thinking this through how I want to do this because it's not necessarily mine to get rid of. And I've already kind of warned the group that this is the direction that I'm looking to take this in, anyways. So I'm going to make sure that you still have to answer a couple questions to get in. I want to try and keep the bots out. So make sure when you request to join the group that you look for the questions as well. And I think I've got it to where, like, if you answer the questions, you'll get in, right? I don't know. We might have to preview still. I can't remember 100% how I've got that set up. It's been a minute. If you have questions about that, feel free to send me a message on Messenger. You know, if you have concerns or questions about it or anything like that. So, and excuse me, we'll kind of see where this group goes. You know, there's not. It's kind of like, you know, I take life one day at a time, right? Sometimes it's 1 hour at a time if it's a bad day. You know, one day at a time, one skein at a time, right? I mean, that's our projects too, right? We can't, one stitch at a time, one skein of thread at a time. Sometimes it's a cone at a time if you're doing this piece. But yeah, I do hope to see you there if that's something that you think you might want to add to your repertoire. I think that's all I have to say about that. I was really hoping that my sewing machine has been in the shop for almost a month now. They had it for 2 weeks and did the initial like servicing of the machine. And even though I had said, hey, this particular thing is happening, it is a problem, I was told, okay, well, a lot of times, you know, cleaning the machine will fix it. Well, it didn't fix it. And their little like 2-inch test stitching did not reveal that it had not fixed it. So I had to sew an example and take that in and then like talk over. And I had completely forgotten that like literally a piece of the machine had snapped off. And I had taped it too to the lid of it. And I had completely forgotten about that when I took it in. It probably would have saved me some time and hassle. But yeah, the tech opened it up a little bit more thoroughly than they do on a typical like tune-up and cleaning. And they were like, oh yeah, there's a part in there that snapped. So he had to order the part. It was supposed to have come in last Monday, but I have not heard back from them. I really was hoping that would be done in time for these bags to be sewn because my thread cutter is not doing properly on my current machine. And that's going to make me crazy because I have to basically reset the bobbin every single time I cut a seam, like end of thread, because it's not cutting properly. And I have tried, I've replaced the knife twice, so I don't think the particular one that I can get a hold of is the one that's causing the issue. Maybe I'll call after I'm done here and be like, hey, how close? Because I still have like 100 years of ironing to do before I can actually sew anything. Oy. Oh, shush. I will feed you in a minute. When I was in high school, I had gym class for third period and English class for fourth period. And that was right before lunchtime. So I would burn a bunch of calories off in gym class and then go to English class where it was quiet and my stomach would growl so loud the entire class. It was so embarrassing. And y'all, I was a stick. Like when I was in high school, I was tiny. And these people probably thought my parents never fed me. I did not have access to like snacks and stuff to bring with me, and frankly I don't think we were technically allowed, but one of the girl that sat in front of me started bringing me like breakfast bars so that I had something to eat in class because my stomach would start growling so loud. Oh my gosh. Memories. And y'all, I didn't exactly get bullied in high school, but I was not exactly, one of the cool kids. And I had been classmates with these people for, 10 years at that point, because that was freshman year. And a lot of them had not been kind. So there was no love lost. So no, I did not enjoy having my stomach growl in front of these people. The girl that gave me the breakfast bar, she had never been unkind to me, but yeah, I could do with being hungry a little bit more often, obviously. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Oh, stop it. I think I will have to I might have to go just so I can feed the beast. Ooh, where am I at? This hold on, I've forgotten to mark something off. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Move this, make sure that I'm actually where I'm supposed to be in the square. Yes, okay. Little guy's last day of school is next Thursday, so I will have one more update. Hopefully, I don't know. Like I said, bag delivery is Monday. This may still be the only time I have to stitch this week. Until then. So next week's update may be a bit Spartan. I will maybe have the Monopoly stitching done. I hope at that point. Show maybe no focus pieces to show. Well, I'll have this. No, I won't. Will I? Yes, I will have this because not everybody watches the Stitch with Me's. Yeah. And then I don't know. He's been pretty good about going and find something to do while I record, so I think it'll still be okay for the summer. Getting, you know, especially if I keep doing the clips, which, speaking of, I might have to do like a quote-unquote traditional update next week because, like, I keep forgetting to record my pre-clips, which I totally didn't do for this one either. I just started recording this. Let's sigh. I'll have to grab my before screenshot and then do my after clip. Oh well. Too much on my mind, I guess. Okay, I think what I'll do is finish this thread off, and then we will call it, because I think I have pretty much talked about everything I wanted to talk about for now. Probably gonna be I might have already said this, but I keep thinking about it. I'm gonna be a mess this weekend for graduation. My babies are growing up. And then he's going to go off to basic, and I'm going to be a real mess. I'm proud of him, but man, I was not prepared to be a military mom. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here without finishing the thread because my bladder is starting to scream at me. So thank you so much for joining me. Here is where we got to. How many stitches is that? We did 297 stitches today. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day and spending it with me, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.